You won't believe how a simple beachfront boat slip turned into a full-on drama that ended with me owning the entire marina. It all started with a bright red slip of paper, Comic Sans no less, taped to my sailboat. That morning, I woke up on Exodus, my 32-foot freedom vessel, with a piping hot cup of coffee in hand, ready to sink into some coding. Then there it was. Mandatory relocation notice within 48 hours, stamped in cartoonish letters, glaring at me from my own hull. The HOA declared my legally docked sailboat a disruption to their community fishing aesthetics. It felt like being told to move my car from an assigned spot because someone wants to run a lemonade stand. My name's Nathan Ford. I'm 34, and for the last 3 years, I've been living a dream I didn't know I had. I used to grind away creating random mobile apps, games that go viral, productivity tools that catch on unexpectedly, and eventually the money added up. Enough, in fact, that I bought the sailboat of my dreams and named her Exodus. It was symbolic, my escape from cubicle life to open water, from endless meetings to sunsets over waves. My home base has been Paradise Marina. It's run by Jim Parker, a retired Navy engineer who bought it about a decade ago. Genuine, salt-of-the-earth kind of guy. The marina has 40 slips and has always been a tight-knit, drama-free zone. Barbecues, friendly help with maintenance, real community. None of the soap opera HOA politics I'd heard about. On one side of the marina is Riverside Commons, a development of about 200 townhomes that sprang up 15 years ago. Mostly good people, families, retirees, professionals who just want to keep their heads down. Everything was peaceful until Charlotte Wallace became HOA president. At first, she seemed innocuous, but slowly she turned into a miniature tyrant, treating HOA duties like her personal kingdom. She piled on rules, flagged people for the tiniest infractions, and made life miserable for anyone who didn't bend to her will. Then came that Monday. I brewed my coffee, settled into code, then saw the red notice taped to the hull. Mandatory relocation notice, 48 hours, it read, from someone who had no business telling me to move a legally docked boat. I called Jim immediately. He told me she'd taped it on while he was working the docks. He'd told her she had no authority over private marina property, but she just waved him off. He confirmed my lease was airtight, paid on time, no violations, more than a year left with renewal options, and Charlotte's HOA had absolutely no legal jurisdiction over the marina. She'd been snooping, taking photos, measuring distances from my slip to the shore, and something bigger was brewing. All day I dug through contracts, searched online. This wasn't law, it was intimidation. A petty power play in fancy font. I decided it was time to confront her. As I grabbed my jacket, Jim pulled me aside quietly. She'd called the marina earlier that morning, talking about Phase 2. Whatever this was, it wasn't over. Her determination had that cold, glinting edge of someone on a mission. I headed over to the HOA office. Inside the community clubhouse, I noticed her Honda Civic outside, license plate, HOA boss. The irony struck me hard. Tiny car, massive power trip. I'd done some digging on Charlotte before seeing her. Turns out she was once a successful realtor with a luxury lifestyle, until a crash, a divorce, and downsizing to a townhouse. The HOA position had become her throne. When I walked in, she was sitting behind an oversized desk, with 3 monitors like she was running a naval command center rather than a homeowners association. Clipboard in hand, she looked like a cosplay CEO. I pulled out my phone and started recording. Even that got her attention. "Mr. Ford," she began, not looking up, "I was expecting you. Sit, please." But I stayed standing. "I'm here about the notice taped to my boat this morning," I said. "There must be a misunderstanding. Under my lease and maritime law, you have no authority to demand my vessel be relocated." That's when she looked at me, practiced smile, the kind someone holds in the mirror. "Confused," she said. "You're confusing individual preferences with community needs." Her words dripped with condescension. community fishing, aesthetics, the greater good, none of it had legal weight against a private lease on the water. I asked for specifics. She cited aesthetic standards and owner complaints. I almost laughed. My boat is classic white with blue trim. Every marina in America looks like that. Then she flashed a document. You're fined $800 for violation of Section 12.3, Riverside Commons Residential Guidelines. But I'm not a resident of Riverside Commons. I'm a paying customer of a private marina. She waved my argument away. When your activities impact us, you're subject to our oversight. But that's not how laws work. I stood firm. I won't move my boat, and I won't pay the fine. All of a sudden, her smug expression slipped toward anger. I strongly suggest you reconsider, she said menacingly. We have ways to encourage compliance. As I left, she called Jim. We need to talk about marina policies this afternoon. I rushed back to Exodus and called my friend Alyssa Carter, a brilliant property lawyer from college days. She listened, then laughed. You're in the right, Nathan, but wrong people don't stop. She'll push until something breaks. Her advice, document everything, keep records, and prepare for harassment. Legal routes were open, but it'd be messy. And sure enough, 3 days later, Jim called me early and sounded shaken. The HOA board had threatened to boycott the marina, complained to county agencies about safety violations, and trash the marina online. They wanted him to force me out, or they'd destroy his business. His wife, Carol, was terminally ill, and they couldn't afford a reputation hit. Jim said he might have to comply. I told him I'd figure out a way to manage without utilities. I couldn't accept blackmailing him. That evening, attending an HOA meeting as a guest felt like walking into a gladiator arena. There were about 40 residents packed in. Charlotte launched into her dramatics, community values, unity, defending their investments. She painted me as a reckless interloper. When she paused, I asked to speak. I laid out the lease, federal jurisdiction, my legal standing. It all left several residents visibly unsettled. But Charlotte sidestepped law and invoked unity, social cohesion. Are we going to let one person's selfishness ruin our waterfront? She asked, her voice dripping emotion. Then she staged a vote, 26 in favor of stronger action, 14 against, others abstained. She declared Phase 2, suspend services to me, amplify monitoring. Phase 2 meant no utilities and surveillance patrols. Overnight, Jim had to cut off water and power. Working on the boat fell apart, missed deadlines, choppy video calls. I felt like I'd gone back to frontier living, and it was psychologically brutal. HOA members roamed the docks, measured, photographed, sketching. It was intimidation, but instead of breaking me, it steeled me. A few days later, Jim pulled me aside. Something had changed. Carol's condition had worsened. Doctors recommended an experimental treatment costing $200,000. Insurance wouldn't pay. Their savings were gone. Jim was thinking of selling the marina, but Charlotte was rumored to be courting a group purchase via the HOA. If that happened, everything I loved about the place would vanish. That's when the idea hit. What if I bought the marina? Not only helping them, but ending Charlotte's leverage. I explained my finances. Some apps had gone viral, returns were solid, I could make a cash offer. And just like that, on that battery-powered, lantern-lit night, the chessboard flipped. Jim and I enlisted Alyssa. We structured a fair deal. I'd pay around $720,000 in cash, sparing them a drawn-out sale, plus salary and health benefits for management. It was the perfect pivot. We hid the plan from Charlotte and her board. Then Charlotte escalated. She threatened legal action, demanded I talk to their attorney, sent phony health complaints about my sanitation setup. A real health inspector laughed her off. Marine-grade waste systems are cleaner than many home systems, and filing false reports is a misdemeanor. That attempt collapsed. Next, she organized a boycott, telling slip holders to move out. But the boaters sided with me. They'd seen her moves for years. Rather than destroying business, the campaign united renters behind me. We pushed ahead. As long as the ownership change was secret, I stuck to routine and ignored the harassment. I saw the cameras, the lurking figures, the signs of reaction, but I just smiled, waved, kept working. Then, one Friday, Alyssa, Jim, and I closed the deal. I was now the owner of Paradise Marina. I called an emergency meeting. 35 boaters showed up. I stood up and announced, "I'm the new owner. All existing leases stand, except the HOA Fishing Club Special Access won't be renewed." Their cheers echoed through the docks. Relief, solidarity, gratitude, it was everything I hoped for. Word spread like wildfire in Riverside Commons. Phones buzzed, residents, some congratulating, others worried. I reassured them, individuals are welcome. HOA, as an institution, no longer holds sway. Soon, Charlotte arrived, clipboard in hand, demanding her rights were invalid, talking legal nonsense. I showed her the deed transfer. She sputtered, "This can't be legal." I pointed out security cameras recording everything and told her she was now trespassing. I handed her a notice. Broken arrangements terminated. HOA equipment must be removed within 30 days. Residents welcome under standard terms. She crumpled it, stormed off. The next 30 days turned into a spectacle. First, denial. She insisted the sale would be overturned. Then, bargaining, offered outrageous sums for fishing privileges. I declined. Meanwhile, I reconnected with the marina community, restored utilities, launched improvements, modernized operations. Business boomed. Charlotte organized pickets with signs about anti-community management. But passers-by didn't care. If anything, it drew more interest. Boat owners approached me privately, apologized for her, and asked how to become customers. It was cathartic. Meanwhile, Carol responded well to treatment. Jim dove into management with renewed vigor. Barbecues, group sales, community events. The place felt reborn. 28 days in, Charlotte made a last-ditch plea. She'd guarantee no conflict if she could keep the fishing club as long as her influence remained. I told her the issue was never the fishing. It was being harassed and intimidated. Trust was dead. Her response, "You think you've won, but communities don't forget." I reminded her I bought a business, not seized power, and that the only thing she'd lost was her ability to harass. Judgment Day arrived. A crisp Saturday morning in late spring. Charlotte and 2 loyal board members showed up with a truck to remove HOA gear. She looked beaten and bewildered. I watched from Exodus, coffee in hand, then offered help loading heavy coolers, genuine civility in the decaying embers of conflict. She murmured something about community cooperation, but by then she was a ghost of the HOA boss she once pretended to be. I handed her a final trespass notice. She could return as a customer only. She left. The lake breeze finally felt free. In the weeks that followed, the HOA formally voted her out, by more than 2-1. New leadership reached out with apologies, offering partnership. We struck a deal. Individual residents get discounts, Marina hosts community events. 3 months later, on a gorgeous sunset evening aboard Exodus, I looked out at the docks full of friendly faces, smiling families learning to fish, retirees casting lines in peace. The transformation exceeded every expectation. Charlotte's name became neighborhood lore. She put her townhouse up for sale and disappeared from marina politics. I sometimes saw her driving by, watching, but she never tried another move. The real victory wasn't profit. It was proving that standing up to bullies and refusing to be intimidated can spark lasting, positive change. 6 months later, a neighboring marina owner reached out. Word had spread about my HOA solutions and asked if I'd consult. Suddenly, marina management became a side gig. Looking back, her biggest mistake was arrogance, believing that petty power and fear would keep me passive. Instead, her harassment ignited transformation, not just for me, but for the entire waterfront community. The lesson proved crystal clear. Bullies don't get to dictate outcomes, but sometimes pushing them just hard enough forces the game board to change entirely. What would you have done? I'd fight back, but in your own way. Stick around for more stories of homeowners, disruptors, and everyday battles that turn out more like legends than lawsuits. Just remember, the best revenge isn't getting even, it's getting everything.